In today's tutorial, I'm going to be discussing what is included in the first four SLOs. These are the components that are the key points in organizing and holding a presentation. Those components include communication, the components of communication, verbal and nonverbal communication skills, public speaking and its usefulness, and technology that's used to aid in a presentation. In the components of communication, delivery is very important. Eye contact, evidence to support your reasoning, why should the audience be listening to you altogether, and is there evidence to support those reasons that you are giving to your audience? Can they relate to what you're talking about? Do you have confidence? Do you have good posture? And are you smiling and making them feel warm and welcome, as if you're talking to them instead of talking at them? Okay, it's important to get the attention of your audience in the very beginning, because this is what's going to hold them possibly throughout the entire presentation. Okay, in verbal and nonverbal communication skills, nonverbal, I believe, is probably one of the most important, because you can have something very good to say, something moving and motivational to say to your audience, but if you're stuttering, if your eye contact isn't direct, if you're not talking to the audience, or if they feel that you're intimidated in some way, it's kind of going to sway how the audience is moving. Okay, so being sure to pace yourself so that you don't run out of breath due to anxiety, and not have the breath to continue with what you're saying is very important, because without pacing yourself and being able to communicate what you're trying to say, then you can't get your thoughts across at all. Okay, posture is also very important, because it shows your audience that you're in control of the situation, that you're dominant, and you know what you're talking about. It gives them a sense of comfort as well, because if they're listening to somebody that is intimidated or not too sure about what they're talking about, then why are they going to listen to you either? Okay, again, pacing for the sense of not stuttering, and shortness of breath. Also, it's very important not to include unnecessary body movements. If we're moving our hands to try to explain something unnecessarily, it looks a little bit forced. So, which is also a negative sign in nonverbal communication. If it looks like you're trying to force something, they're going to feel that maybe you have something to hide. Okay, in public speaking and its usefulness, I've looked up a couple of different topics, and I found something that was very interesting to me, which included 7 connecting principles: perception, perfection, visualization, discipline, description, and anticipation. Now, in these 7 descriptions, it basically talks about, for one, perception. Is what you're talking about interesting to your audience? Can they understand what you're talking about? Do they feel warm about what you're talking about? Do they feel that they can connect to you as a person and what you're trying to convince them of? Perfection. Sometimes people make mistakes during presentations, and the important thing is to keep going. If you make a mistake during your presentation and you stop, it's very clear to your audience that, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. And the only real way that they're going to know that you made a mistake is if they have the actual word-by-word dialogue of what you're going to be discussing, and notice that, okay, she was supposed to stop here and she picked up on page 2. If you're able to go through your presentation smoothly and they aren't able to notice, then that's great. Usually the only person that notices that a mistake was made in a presentation is the person that's presenting. So it's always important to keep going. Okay, practice. Discipline is something that you have to continue. You have to practice over and over again to get correct. We're not just gonna wake up one day and be great presenters. So it's important to practice something that you want to get better at. If you're not great at playing basketball, then you're going to practice playing basketball all the time. The same way is with public speaking. We're not going to wake up one day and be great presenters and be able to get our points across in 1, 2, 3. It's just, for some people it may happen, others it's just not going to happen that way. Okay, and anticipation. Keep in mind how long your presentation is, because if you're rambling and running on about a topic, once they have understood your point and your reasoning and what you have to say, get to the next point or wrap your presentation up. The worst part in a presentation is when somebody starts rambling on and on and on, and then you tend to lose the focus and the attention of your audience. So it's very important to keep that in mind, not going on about the same situation. Okay, and lastly is the types of technology that's used in a presentation. In 2015, we have a vast variety of technology that we can use to aid us in many different ways. For one of those being overhead projectors. Now, overhead projectors have been being used for very many years, but the extent of how they can be used now has changed, from being able to project to a room of 25 to 30 people to now being able to project in a room with hundreds of people in large theaters, projector screens, which now that we have the ability to touch and move things from one point to the next, we're able to slide. Okay, then we have the computer itself, being able to open up programs, store software, and save software on the computer or save software on a USB drive. Those emails and presentations were now able to be done at home and emailed to a different setting, and now we're able to present those in a large area or an outside setting. Lighting, being able to have better lighting and so that everybody can see you, or projecting the sound from the front of the room all the way to the back of the room. Okay, so that we can, if I'm talking in the front of a room, the people that are in row 300 are also able to see and hear what I'm saying. Being able to project visually to an overhead projector and through audio. Okay, so these are some of the different types of technologies that we can use in a presentation. We said projectors, we said computers, we said USB, we have lighting, we have different types of software. So it's very important to have, these different type of technologies, because we can, as a community, we're able to progress, and we're able to give our audience what they need, and be able to connect to a larger amount of people if necessary, or if there is only a small setting of maybe 12 kids in a classroom, having smart boards in almost every single classroom now, where we can input visuals and audio sounds. We can pull up videos off the internet and give them examples of math problems or math equations that they're doing, or how these math equations can connect to them in the outside world and why they're important to them in class. It's important to be able to explain to your audience why what you're telling them is useful in the real world, because otherwise, why are they going to listen to you? Thank you for listening to me. Again, this is Eliza Adams, class Communication 104, and I guess I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.